It's Tuesday, August 18. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. In the last 24 hours, 16 new samples have tested positive for COVID-19. This brings the total confirmed COVID-19 cases in Jamaica to 1,129. At the same time, recoveries remained at 764. Of the newly confirmed cases, 11 are males and 5 are females, with ages ranging from 1 year to 58 years. 2 of the new COVID cases are imported, having arrived on flights in August from the USA for our local transmission, not epidemiologically linked. 9 moderately ill patients and 1 critically ill patient are among the 285 active cases under observation in Jamaica. 66 of the cases recorded on the island have returned to their countries of origin. Some 28,381 persons of interest are quarantined at home, while 4 remain in quarantine at a government facility. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is now monitoring more than 250 active COVID-19 cases across 12 parishes, among them 54 cases from Kingston and St. Andrew, the KSA. The 3 miles, Constant Spring, Duane Park and Halfway Tree developmental areas are the most affected from the KSA. The cases have come to light through visits of symptomatic persons to hospitals and health centers. Marlon Samuels tells us more.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement at Monday's virtual press conference at Jamaica House.
The Ministry of Health has advised the Cabinet of concerns in the following communities: Dehring Park, Patrick City, or rather Patrick Gardens, Pembroke Hall, Coralville, New Haven, the Halfway Tree area, Hughenden, Arlene Gardens, Malines Gardens, State Gardens, Zadie Gardens, Constant Spring, Barbican, Meadowbrook, Havendale, Delacree Park, Olympic Gardens, and Waltham Gardens. We're asking residents in these communities to exercise even greater care. Wear your masks, social distance, wash your hands or sanitize regularly. If you're ill, stay home. Make contact with your health service providers.
With these new cases over the last 2 weeks, Kingston and St. Andrew has had a total of 244 confirmed positives. Mr. Holness said the government is not taking any chances.
We will be monitoring these communities very closely. And the reason for this, obviously, is that cases have popped up which have not been epidemiologically linked, meaning that they can't trace the source. Not that there are many cases, but the fact that you have seen a case where you can't trace the source could suggest that there is a general spread and you want to be sure. So we are being very cautious. We're being very upfront with the public to tell you what the threat is so you can act responsibly.
The coming weeks will therefore see the Ministry of Health and Wellness deploying health officers to visit these communities. They will conduct health surveillance, community sensitization, and health promotion activities. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
With the increase in the number of COVID-19 cases and a growing number of persons displaying symptoms in St. Thomas and Clarendon, the government has taken the decision to extend the quarantine period for the areas of those parishes currently under quarantine. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement at a virtual press conference at the Jamaica House on Monday.
What we are going to do for the parish of St. Thomas is that we will increase the curfew hours. The curfew hours, therefore, for the parish of St. Thomas will be from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. the following morning. We will have this new curfew instituted to restrict movement as of tomorrow. So as of August the 18th, the curfew for St. Thomas will be 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. the next morning for every morning and every evening for the next 2 weeks.
These St. Thomas communities include Bamboo River, Church Corner and Lower Summit. To date, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has conducted more than 300 home visits and collected 700 samples there. Mr. Holness also spoke to extended measures to curb transmission of the virus.
So, we're saying now, which will be in the new order, there will be no funeral services at churches. Unfortunately, wedding ceremonies would be affected as well. Entertainment would be affected as well, and civic services would be affected. And this is for the next 2 weeks, starting tomorrow.
The latest increase in COVID-19 cases could cause delay in the planned reopening of schools in September. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, was responding to a question at a virtual press conference. He noted that there are concerns as it relates to the number of cases.
As of now, there are concerns. I will put it no stronger than that because I will rely on the public health team who are actually doing the actual monitoring, and they would, of course, recommend to the cabinet what their perspective would be as it relates to school reopening. We still have a little time, but it is worrying that we have seen these cases popping up in St. Thomas, but also in other parts of the country. And, we need to respond in a way to get a handle on this. And if not, it could have implications. But I'm not prepared to say definitively because ultimately it's going to be a cabinet decision that will be influenced by the public health advice.
Schools are set to reopen on September 7. The Kingston and St. Andrew Health Department is closed temporarily because an employee has tested positive for COVID-19. The Southeast Regional Health Authority has advised that the closure is to facilitate a deep cleaning exercise of the building. Sarah says persons who have been in immediate contact with the affected employee are being tested and quarantined. The health department is scheduled to reopen operations on Thursday. The National Water Commission, NWC, has adjusted the water supply schedule for sections of St. Andrew. The NWC says the adjustment for customers served by the Hope filter plant has become necessary as the Hope and Mona systems are now experiencing more severe drought conditions that have resulted in significant shortfalls to inflows. The change in regulations will take effect Wednesday, August 19. The new schedule is as follows. Hope pastures, Mondays, Wednesdays and Saturdays between 4 a.m. and 6 p.m. Gordon Town, Tuesdays and Fridays between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Kintyre, Thursdays and Saturdays between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Mona Heights, Ellison Flats, Tavern, Golding Avenue and Golding Circle, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. The country's political leaders, Prime Minister and Jamaica Labour Party leader Andrew Holness and People's National Party President Dr. Peter Phillips are to sign a document signaling their commitment to the Political Code of Conduct on Wednesday. The agreement and declaration on Political Code of Conduct was originally signed in 2005. It binds all political parties and officials. By their symbolic signing, the leaders are calling on their candidates, party officials and members and supporters to uphold wholeheartedly the terms of the code. Supporters from both sides of the political divide, the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party, accompanied their candidates to the respective nomination centres today. For the JLP, only the candidate and one other person are allowed in the room to sign the relevant documents. Meanwhile, PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson says only motorcades will be allowed and supporters have to have masks on and that they practice social distancing when they come to the nomination centres. Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says persons who are COVID-19 positive should not be allowed to vote owing to the high risk posed to others. He was responding to questions at Monday's virtual press conference at Jamaica House.
The public health position is very clear that persons who are positive, and we have 200 plus such cases currently, they should not be allowed to represent or to pose a risk to others on election day or any other time. They should remain in isolation until they are deemed fit or cured and therefore can go about their normal life. For persons in isolation, in quarantine, these are persons who are under observation and therefore are not confirmed positive cases. They're serving a time to determine if the virus is present in them, but the assumption has to be made that they should be allowed, under certain circumstances, the right to exercise their franchise to vote, given that they are not a confirmed positive case.
Jamaicans will go to the polls on September 3. The police are probing the shooting death of political activist Paul Henry outside his home in Rocky Settlement, Clarendon last evening. The Constabulary's Corporate Communications Unit said Henry was putting up political flags at his gate when he was attacked by gunmen who opened fire, hitting him. The incident took place about 10:55 p.m. Henry was a polling division worker for Clarendon Southeastern Member of Parliament Colonel Charles Jr. of the Jamaica Labour Party. His death comes as political parties prepare for the nomination day today. Well-known businessman and entrepreneur Chris Dehring says he has tested positive for COVID-19. He posted a message on Instagram.
Hi everybody. I just wanted to let you guys know that this morning I tested positive for COVID-19. I'm fine, I only had mild symptoms and my family is fine and I'm recovering. I've been in isolation and quarantine for the last 7 days, and in fact I haven't even been to the office in over 3 months. So nobody there is impacted, but we're following all the Ministry of Health protocols to sanitize the office and to make sure everybody is safe there, staff and customers alike. This is a timely reminder though that COVID-19 impacts everybody, it doesn't discriminate. So we need to take this thing seriously. We need to sanitize, we need to wash our hands, we need to wear our masks, and we need to social distance. We will get through this, but we have to get through this together, being our brother's keeper. So, Jamaica, let's do this, let's get together, let's do the right thing. One love, Jamaica. Thank you for all your support, and I'll see you when this is over.
A former investment banker, Mr. Dehring also enjoys a solid reputation in financial circles as the founder and former president and CEO of Dehring, Bunting and Golding, Jamaica's first and one of the Caribbean's most successful investment banks. Carl Francis brings us up to speed now with the market movements. Here's the business report.
In Monday's trading session, the Jamaica Stock Exchange combined index advanced by 408 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 85 stocks, of which 31 advanced, 43 declined, and 11 traded firm. The junior market index declined by 59 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 student living Jamaica, 138 student living variable preference, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and the Caribbean Producers Jamaica. Trading firm were Access Financial Services, Blue Power Group, and Epley Limited. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with 18.6 million units, followed by Trans Jamaican Highway Limited US dollar with 1.6 million units and Lasco Distributors Limited with 1.5 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Monday, August 17, ended trading at $150.70. The Canadian dollar sold for an average of $114.92. The pound sterling traded for $197.89, and the euro ended trading at $181.01. Oil prices were broadly steady on Tuesday, hanging on to gains from the previous session thanks to high compliance with production cuts from members of the OPEC producers group. Brent crude futures fell 9 cents to $45.28 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures slipped 17 cents to $42.72 a barrel. And that's it for the business report on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis in for Gabriel Thompson.
In regional news, the number of novel coronavirus cases in Guyana continues to rise significantly, with 60 new cases being recorded on the weekend. We have more in this report.
Over the weekend, 60 new cases were recorded, as the Health Ministry also reported on another death. The total number of deaths now stands at 23. The total number of cases recorded in Guyana since the first case back in March has now jumped to over 700. Of the 60 new cases recorded over the weekend, Region 4 accounts for 22 of those new cases, while Region 7 accounts for 18 of the new cases. The Ministry of Health is trying to get more testing done, but is also reducing the number of persons in institutionalized quarantine by following the new WHO guidelines and releasing patients with no symptoms after they would have tested negative twice for COVID-19 after 10 days. The Health Ministry is also trying to do more contact tracing, especially in the interior regions, where citizens continue to not follow guidelines.
2 senior opposition parliamentarians in the Bahamas have tested positive for COVID-19. Jasmine Brown spoke with their party's chairman and filed this report.
The chairman, who is currently out of the country, spoke to our news team via Zoom. He says the fact of the matter is the COVID-19 crisis is not getting any better.
As a general proposition, it seems to me that the present administration is simply lost in space as to what to do with this matter. We are locking down, then open again, locking down and opening again. And now you've got some people who are high profile in nature who are indicating that there ought to be a complete lockdown. Now, okay, so who's going to feed people? How are people going to survive?
Mitchell's comments came shortly after he took a COVID-19 test as a part of his annual physical exam. Mitchell said he's awaiting the results. Meantime, both Davis and Darville, who co-chairs the PLP's COVID-19 task force, confirmed they have tested positive for COVID-19. On Sunday, Davis released a voice note confirming that he tested positive for the COVID-19 virus and was in hospital. On Monday, Darville released a statement of his own saying he had tested positive and would be getting much-needed rest. Rumors about Davis' COVID-19 status began to circulate on Saturday after Davis released a statement indicating that he and Darville were in hospital being examined. Mitchell gave this update on the party leader's condition.
I'd like to thank Dr. Danny Johnson for his assistance. He's the person who's been tasked by the party to do the liaison. He's a medical doctor. This morning, the report is that he rested comfortably and is progressing.
Mitchell added that the party will adhere to the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 protocols. He released a statement on Monday. It said, "I advise that anyone who has come into direct contact with someone who was diagnosed as COVID-19 positive within the last 7 days should consider testing immediately." Additionally, he said the PLP's headquarters have been closed for sanitization and called on Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis to ensure the Leader of Opposition's office, a government office, is also sanitized. As for concerns about the party, Mitchell said this.
It's a strong organization. It's an institution, the oldest in the country, which is withstood the test of time. And, things will get better.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
In Trinidad and Tobago, less than a week after calling for the resignation of the UNC head, Dr. Ford Khan has again criticized the party's leader, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, this time for using tactics to delay the swearing-in of a new government. Sunil Lala files this report.
Ford Khan, who recently made way for the United National Congress's candidate for San Juan Barataria, Saddam Hussein, used a sports metaphor to illustrate what he thinks the UNC is doing.
Dative is a very good blanket, wastebasket term for people to dump in their insecurities when they lose. However, if they had won, then will they win? The rough thief.
He pointed out that the party did not have any problem with the Elections and Boundaries Commission in 2010, when it won the general election as the People's Partnership. But he says this quickly changed in 2015, when the EBC extended the time for voting. And fast forward to the 2020 general election, Dr. Khan says the UNC has again taken issue with the EBC. The former minister adds that he didn't expect any different election result since the party used the same failed election campaign as before.
You carry the same campaign that you carried in 2015, bigging up one face, and you lose again because you used the same advertising agency that you used in 2015. We're expecting 2020.
The UNC's public relations officer, Anita Haynes, responding to the comments, says the party member is free to voice his opinion, adding that the UNC respects all views.
The UNC is a democratic institution, and any democratic institution, there would be views for and against various things. That is our strength as a party, that you are free to share your views or your views are discussed, and then we move forward with a united voice, and that is how we intend to deal with it.
Ms. Haynes also denies that there is any rift within the UNC.
A dissenting voice does not mean a rift. It is somebody who has an opinion and that they have shared it. And that's fine. I think we've gotten to the point as a society where disagreement equals rift, and that's not the case. What the United National Congress is facing right now are healthy democratic discussions.
Sonolala, CTT News.
In sports, we bowl off with cricket. There's still no timeline for the reopening of SABINA Park. The facility has been closed to all cricket activities since Jamaican cricketer Dennis Bully tested positive for COVID-19 a few weeks ago. Cricket operations manager at the Jamaica Cricket Association, Neil Cruikshank, says that there are still a few steps to be taken before they can think about reopening the facility. Cruikshank confirmed that all contacts were traced and tested and have since returned negative results. He said the players are currently quarantining at home. In the meantime, he says they are currently enhancing certain measures to ensure there is no repeat of the situation. And staying with cricket, the Caribbean Premier League organizers are set to stage a first ever biosecure T20 franchise tournament in Trinidad amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The CPL will be the first set of high-level cricket to be held in the Caribbean since the outbreak of the virus forced a halt of the games. All 33 games of the August 19 to September 10 tournament will be played behind closed doors under strict social distancing and other health protocols as prescribed by the Trinidad and Tobago government. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.